Hey guys, this is Tony with Inner Geek Design. Today I'm back with another Geek podcast. That came out all wrong, but we'll keep going with it. Today I want to talk about burnout, how to stop it, how to know when you're at that point. And yeah, I talked about this topic already, but I guess I confused it with creative block, which is the first episode. But we'll talk about that. Let's jump in like I jumped in recently with all these podcasts. Let's talk about what I've been working on as an in-house designer and as a freelance designer. Some things that I've noticed, some things that possibly could help you guys in your journeys to become graphic designers. Start with in-house. Been working on some website changes. Been working on a lot of stuff getting for trade shows. Trade shows are always busy this year. It's kind of hectic getting all that stuff, banners, trade show bins out, all that kind of stuff out for the salespeople to use. Been kind of taking a little bit of a step back from graphic design and more into the marketing seat recently, which is fine. I can do both. You kind of have to understand both to be a good graphic designer today. You can't understand one or the other. You have to understand both. As a freelance designer, I have finished Summer Love this year. I think it looks good. I think it's probably the best year that I've put forth this year. We'll see if next year happens or not. But this year we kind of took a different approach. They wanted to have it align with the World Cup. And there was 4 teams this year on that day. So we had a postcard from each team. Made it look like an old school postcard. And then people could mail them out if they wanted to. Some of them. We have other ones that are printed actually have more information about the event on the back. But I think it came out really cool. We did horizontal posters instead of vertical ones also, which is pretty cool. Never seen that done before either, or not recently. People can kind of playing it safe with event material. Been working on a client website. I also picked up a new client for a logo design. Waiting for the contract to come back for that before I start that, but that should be a pretty straightforward, easy project. Been also working on some back-end stuff and update my portfolio, adding some new things, adding some more description into my portfolio items, which I think is something everyone should do. Actually take a look at your portfolio items and not just say, here's a logo I did. Do you like it? Hire me. No, don't do that. Actually take a step back and say, hey, here's what the project was. Here were the client's needs. Here's how I met those clients' needs. And here's what success looked like for the client. These are all things clients are going to actually look at when they're hiring you. So that's about all that I've been doing in-house as a graphic designer, etc. And now let's jump into the topic of today, which is burnout. How to stop it, how to know when it's coming, and what's the best way to kind of make sure you never experience it as a designer. So what is creative burnout, design burnout, whatever you want to call it? It's when you are working and you're working really hard and then you just have no motivation. Now, what's the difference between creative block and creative burnout? Creative block is that you still have the drive to work on something, you just can't figure out what to work on. Burnout is you have no motivation to work on anything, you don't want to do anything, you just want to be a couch potato. And look, we all need it at some point. I have gotten to this point this week. That's why I'm actually talking about this topic. And realizing that maybe you should understand your workload. Like I always, at the beginning of the year, understand my workload, and then I always take on more than I can. It's just how I am. It's how I'll always be. Until I can hire someone to help me, that's how I will be. Probably still be that way because I don't take on more, but hey. But there are signs for burnout. It's a little bit different for everyone else. It's a little bit different for where the threshold is, what are the signs, and how to cure it. But I'm going to try to give you some generic things that have helped me in the past, and that might help you down the road to stop it from happening to you. So, how to stop, or what is it and what are the signs? What are the signs of creative burnout, or design burnout, or just burnout in general if you're a content creator? It's that you start working on a project and you seem a little distant on it, or you're not putting your best foot forward, or maybe your personal life is starting to slack because you're putting so much effort into this project. These are all signs that it's happening. Everyone has it happen to them. It's life. Sometimes the best way to do this is stop this from happening, I should say, is, every couple months, I'm going to just take a break for some of my personal time. So, I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to go to the mountains. I'm going to just go out of my house or my studio and just experience life for a little bit. Like this weekend, I had me and my girlfriend and her son went to a baseball game. That was pretty relieving for my mind. Next week, we're on vacation for a couple days to Florida to visit my nephews and family. And I'm not really working on any client work in between that. I'm only working on my stuff in between that. This is just my way of resetting my brain. So when I come back, I'm re-energized. I'm looking at all my client work again, and I am figuring out what to do next. This is the best way that I figured out how to deal with it. Just take a breather, relax, and go forward. How long that break needs to be, what that break needs to be, that's where your understanding of you comes into play. You have to understand what works best for you, what helps you relax best. Like me, I know if I switch on a game, recently I've been switching on Warframe, that'll actually help me calm down, relax enough to figure out what I need to do and where I need to go to continue my career as a freelance designer. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Like I said, I'm going to be on vacation next week. I'm going to try to get some stuff done this week to give you guys content. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not going to worry about it. But there will be stuff coming out after that. I will be probably re-energized enough to do enough content till probably who knows when. But keep your eye on for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. Thank you for listening. We've recently got the podcast on a lot more platforms thanks to Anchor. And I think it's going to continue to grow as I keep uploading more podcasts. I'm trying to stay weekly. Weekly will not be the quickest way for me to gain a lot of podcast episodes, but it's the way I can be consistent enough for you guys. The day that it will get posted is not consistent yet, but working towards that also. Hope you guys have a good beginning of the summer. For all of you parents out there that have kids, start enjoying the summer with them on their vacation. That's a great way to stop having burnout for you. Question of the day: what do you do when you have burnout? Do you take a vacation? Do you stop working? What do you do? If you're on YouTube or any other platform, comment. If you're on Anchor, just call in and tell me what you do. I like to hear back from you guys. But that's going to do it for this podcast. I hope this one helped you. Hope you learned something good here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.